Oh.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Live. Tonight, we are talking about an absolutely killer topic. This is one that affects all of you out there. I know it does, and that is confidence on camera. If you're not on camera yet, then you are missing out on your audience. Stay tuned.
Loading. Welcome to the best show on Friday nights.
Fumble a bag, now I when I fumble a bag. Fumble a bag, now I when I fumble a bag. Act like you know how this goes.
Your hosts for the evening: Molle Dorst, Jim Beard, and Lefty the Video Jedi.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Friday Night Live. We are talking about a critical topic. This is life or death, kids. Okay? Buckle up. Put on your big boy or big girl pants and let's get into it because we're talking about confidence on camera. Okay? Are you able to do this? Just this. This is a camera. Hi. And I'm able to talk to this camera, but I'm talking to my audience. This is my connection to you. And that's the most important thing that there is. So why do companies do commercials? Why do companies put up billboards? Why do companies put out all this money outward? Because they're trying to do something as simple as this. Let's just have a conversation with the people that are able to be in their circle of influence, and people that are going to benefit from being in that circle of influence. But if we can't do something this simple, which, by the way, is not simple, it's hard. I've been there. So is Molly, to where we stare at this thing and we just freeze. Hey, everybody. Today, I just wanted to pop on.
Ugh.
I just wanted to hop on. I'm just jumping in.
No.
Yeah, Marley, if you're watching, this is for you. And then we go down this like train wreck of just like words that mean nothing. And it's absurd. And then we think, you know what? Video doesn't work. Video doesn't work and I'm out. Screw this, I'm out. Why do we do that? Because we're approaching video in a non-organized way. We're approaching video like we can just pop on and then the customers are going to go, here's the money. And that's crazy. Really hear that. That's crazy. You have to form a relationship, a bond, a friendship. You have to warm up a lead. You have to make trust here, likability. And if you don't have that, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And just think about yourself scrolling. Like everyone's talking about Threads, right? Threads is insane and is taken off insane. And Lefty made us promise not to do the Threads big talk until next week, so we will. But
I already put out my offer for my masterclass and my Threads course.
Okay, good.
In his thread. Don't worry.
Less than 24 hours, we already have courses up about how to crush it with Threads.
Yeah, it was my first post.
Oh,
that's how I figured out how it worked.
Craziness. But this is a perfect example. 2 seconds into seeing your name for the first time in ever, and all of a sudden you're pitching me? Mm-hmm. I don't know you. Stranger danger. Blow the whistle. It's not going to happen. And so for you to think, how's it going, Asher? Welcome. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions as we go along, please post them in the chat. And if you'd like to join us here towards the end of the show, we like to offer an opportunity to come on with us and ask questions directly here on the show, if you so choose. But that's the thing is, like, we treat it like we're running into a family reunion, or worse yet, like you get invited to a friend's party. Okay. Hey, you seem pretty cool. Why don't you come over to my party tonight where you know nobody but me and just meet some people? And then you kick in the door like the Kool-Aid man and you're like, I got funnel services. Who wants to buy funnel services? you're being escorted out, probably in handcuffs. But the internet's different because they can't see you, because you can be anonymous, because you can hide behind a computer. No, you know what to do. You just won't. Or you let the fear and head trash get in your way, right? So we talk about this a lot, to where we talk about how we started our shows, right? When I started X's and O's, I was terrified, but I did it in spite of the fear. I did it anyways. Brave people don't have the absence of fear. They have fear and they do it anyways. Okay? Remember that. Heroes and brave people, these people we look up to, and our personalities of people that we look up to, our heroes, our mentors, they have fear too, but they do it anyway. Okay? So, I hope that brings you some comfort, because fear never goes away. I get the jitters before I come on the show every time still, and that's why I do it. It's because it gives me that, okay? That feeling that you have when you're about to go on video or do something like this, that feeling yields the best things in the world. Yeah. The very best things in your life came directly after having that feeling. Embrace it, okay? And that's a lot. I know I'm asking a lot of you guys to embrace the fear. But one thing that, like, Steve Larson talks about a lot is if you can separate yourself from your fear and set it aside and say, listen, I see you. I got you, right? I got this thing I got to do first, but after that, I'll get to you. But I just need to set you aside for a second because I got something I got to do. And I took that and I internalized that. So when I do something terrifying that freaks me out and puts me out of my comfort zone, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like I'm standing on solid ground. I feel like I'm floating in the ether and I got nothing to hold on to. I go, okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to try and set you aside for a moment. I'm going to address you. I'm going to handle you and freak out in a moment. But right now I got to do this. And it's helped me. And I hope that in some way you can find a way to do that, to separate you from your fear. They are separate things. You as an entity and your fear are different things. One is influencing you. Yeah. It is not you. It's an influence on you. And so if you can separate those two and just listen, you're cool. Just chill here for a second. And afterwards we can freak out a little bit together. Okay. I got to do this thing real quick. So if you can do that, that's step one. Okay. Step one, trying to separate the two. You are not your fear. Okay. Parts of you influence your fear and your fear can influence you. But I tried my very hardest to separate the two. Yeah. Just because I don't know what I'm doing has never slowed me down. I don't know what you mean there. Who's saying that one? I can't see a name. Facebook user. Oh, Tammy Fink, Miss Wow herself.
Yeah, just because she doesn't have the roadmap, just because she doesn't know what she's doing, doesn't stop her from moving forward.
Exactly.
You find the resources, you find the solutions, you find the way around the problem you're realizing.
And you know what's crazy? And that gave me a lot of comfort as well, is I did a lot of traveling since August of last year through to the new year. Mm-hmm. I was all over the place, different events, meeting new people, masterminds, all sorts of craziness. I was flying all the time. And I got to meet uber rich, mega millionaire people. And they all said the same thing. You know, they're about to go on stage. I talked with Pat Flynn before he went on stage for his keynote. And I'm like, man, you do so great up there. And I love your show. And it's got to be, I made the assumption too. I said, it's got to feel great once you're able to be comfortable up there. He laughed, and not like he cackled like crazy. He was like, I'm terrified. What are you talking about? I am terrified. I am never not terrified to speak in front of people. He goes, I just keep doing it and it gets a little easier each time, but it never gets easy. And then the thing is once you get comfortable with a certain level, we're moving on to the next thing that terrifies us. Yeah. It's a never ending process. And it's something that we have to do. We have to separate those two. So Pat Flynn, even, who is a massive personality, massive, and gave one of the greatest keynotes I've ever personally seen in my life. It was fantastic. He looked amazing up there, like crushed it. Told me right beforehand, this is terrifying. It felt so comforting to me to be like, he's where I want to go in 10 years. Yeah. He's 10 years away from me in progress, minimum. And he still feels that way. I'll be okay. Yeah. You know? Like really.
And the fact that he acknowledges his nervousness still exists. Yeah. And then he gets up on stage still. He runs one of the most successful podcasts. He is practiced, but he still gets that nervousness. One thing that's really cool, like nervousness, like from a psychological and like what's happening in your brain and body perspective, nervousness and excitement are the exact same thing. We just put different names on them. So when we have nervousness, our body is in hyper aware mode. We're overthinking things. We're running through. Time seems to be changing, right? It's the exact same thing as if we were being hunted by predators or
fight or flight.
If we were at a party meeting that cute girl from across the room, the crush we've had for so long, those butterflies in our stomach, it's the exact same thing happening in our body. So what Pat's doing is he's leaning into that nervousness and he's allowing it to fuel him rather than making it stop him from moving forward. And I think that is so cool. So cool.
Yeah, that was huge. You know, because I figured there was a level you reached where it's like, I got this. Don't worry about it. It's not even a thing. Not even a thing. Like, I'm not even going to prepare for this. I'm just going to go up, rip it, and then go back to my life.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And so that let me know, like, okay, the way I'm feeling is normal. It's just the way it is. It's just normal. Everyone has this head trash crap where it's like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too this. I'm too that. I'm not here yet. I'm not rich yet. I'm not that. And it's just crap that we're throwing in front of us in our goal. Yeah. It's all roadblocks. But when you realize that none of that matters, none of it, and anything you tell me is an insecurity of yours, I will find you someone that overcame it and overcame it in a big way. Every insecurity you have. There has been someone in that space that has absolutely crushed it. And they crushed it because they finally realized there's millions of people out there just like me. Mm-hmm. That's what makes the world so effing fantastic. Is that all of your quirks, all of your weirdness, your insecurities, your fears, your wins, your losses, your experience, everyone has varying degrees of the same mix. We all go through our problems, our issues, things to overcome, and what we do on the other side builds us as a person. And there are millions of people out there that go, oh, your special mix is the mix that I love. That's the mix I want. Because think about it. Okay, how many funnel builders are there? A freaking bajillion. Why buy from you if you're a funnel builder? Because you're you. Because they resonate with you and your special mix. Okay? Now, if you're going after someone else's audience that's not your mix, and you're like, oh, but I just want to be like them to get that success for me, you have to get that out of your system now. That's not your audience. That's their audience. Your audience is out there waiting for you. And every day that you're not addressing them is another day that they go with their problems unanswered. Feel that. Feel that for just a second. Let yourself really feel that. Every day that you're not being out there for your people, your specific audience, they're going another day living in that pain. So by you trying to go after, let's say, someone I look up to, Ed Milet. If I'm like, oh, I want to be just like Ed Milet, I'm going to start with the protein today. I'm going to start cranking protein. I'm going to do the fake tanner. I'm just going to just be diesely dude. And I'm going to interview people. And I want it to be just like Ed Milet. I would fail. I'm not Ed Milet. That's a recipe for failure. Okay. Now, some of my audience may be in Ed Milet's audience. So with ads and things like that, we can expose ourselves to that audience. And then some of them may come over to us because they go, you know what? I love that Ed Milet, but I also really like that Jim Beard fella. He's all right. He's kind of speaking my language, and that's great. But for me to try and be like Ed Milet is categorically wrong. It's completely wrong. I'm not him. He has different life experience that has made him into a person that he is today. I have very different life experience than him that would make me valuable in the market. You know how many people talk about camera confidence? A ton, especially in Hollywood because of actors and actresses. Because they need to be able to get up on camera. That's their whole experience. That's their whole life, is trying to entertain and engage and tell people stories. So the thing that separates myself and Molly from the rest of them is our experience, is what makes us us, the very threads that build us as people. And so the people that watch our shows, that enjoy our content, that work with us on a professional level with their videos and their shows and things like that, is us. And if we let I've got, I've got insecurities. I got the gray hairs. I'm very pale. I'm overweight. My ears are big. I got a big nose. I look like a Muppet come to life. Okay. If I let all that crap get in my head, we'd never have this conversation right now. Okay. If I never separated myself from that fear and said, listen, I'll be with you in a second, but I got to do this first, and then I'll return to you, then we would never have this. I'd not have customers that pay my bills, that take care of my family, that make it so I can pay a car note, that make it so when I go to events that I have this innate friendships already built in, people to hang out with, people that I understand, people that relate with me. If they never knew I existed, I'm just another stranger. Stranger danger, blow the whistle. So really let that sink in, is that your audience is out there and they're in pain. And every day you go without doing this, reaching out to them and saying, listen, I got your back, is another day they're in pain. And this is going to keep going like that until you take that step. Because your audience is not my audience. My audience is not your audience. And there's room for everybody. Here's another thing. Another reason why we're so unique and what makes that so amazing. Do you only go to one restaurant ever? Ever? I have one favorite restaurant. That's the only place I go to. They have the really good mozzarella sticks. So I go there and I go there forever. No, you go to several restaurants. You want to experience different things. The internet's no different. Just because someone bought from someone else doesn't mean they won't also buy from you. And another thing is, like, even though you're not number one, does it matter? Do you think Microsoft gives an absolute flying shit about Apple beating them in stock points that month? No, they're both absolutely crushing. Doesn't matter. They don't care. They make it seem like they care in commercials because that sells phones. That sells computers. They don't care. Do you think that Steve Larson cares that this month Alex Hormozy is going to make another $100 million and he's not? No, he doesn't care, because he's doing his thing to serve his audience, and he's getting better in his lane that he's chosen. The comparison analysis is destructive. I've done it. I still on occasion find myself doing it. It is dangerous. If you compare yourself to others ahead of you, you're going to get hurt. You can't. That's their audience. That's their message. That's their lane. Now, can you learn things from them? Absolutely. But to say, I'm not there, so I'm trash, that's the problem. It's to where I'm putting self-worth on me because of something better that they're perception-wise that they're doing. That is destructive. Okay? So there's some things we can do to get ready to get out there and speak to our people. Okay? First one is we have permission to fail. And not just permission to fail, but permission to fail, but permission to play. So failure and play are good things. When we're raised, we're taught, oh, that's wrong. Don't do that again. And it's beaten into us that, no, you were wrong. No. And then you get your grades, A, B, C, D, E, F. F, you failed. And if you don't get it right, there's something wrong with you. Let's address the problem. You know, and then you get older, and if you so choose to go into entrepreneurship, it is a buttload, a mountain of failure. What do we see? The peak. We see the peak. We don't see the foundation of failure. The foundation of failure is what really made that business. And fail as fast as you effing can. Fail your face off, because that process is what's going to move all the stuff out of the way to get you to that success. And permission to play. Permission to play is just let a little bit of that young you in. Let a little bit of, Kid Molly in your world. What would Kid Molly want to do with this? Oh, she'd throw a bunch of craziness together, add on some sparkle and some construction paper, and let's have some effing fun. Like, exactly. Let's play. But then we lose that. We lose permission to play as we get older, and we get more and more responsibilities and obligations thrust upon us because of the nature of growing up. But the thing is permission to play is what makes some of the greatest things ever. Playing around is what makes innovation. Yeah. Playing around is what lets us to have a unique spin on something that's been done a million times. Playing around is what brought us the vacuum versus the broom. That kind of stuff is what brought us the CD from the cassette. The cassette from the 8-track. It's what allows us to progress. And if we stop that play, we get in a rut. And that rut is what can absolutely destroy a business, is the failure to innovate. That's the only failure that is not going to serve you, is the failure to keep going. The only way you actually fail is if you stop. That's when you fail. It's when you say, all right, I'm done. That's the biggest failure. But if you keep trying and playing and going through that process, you will get there. Yeah, pivot. Exactly, Tammy. You're absolutely right. Pivot is just another way to say play. Pivot got overused in COVID, right? So everyone's like, I got to pivot. It's pivot time. Oh, who's pivoting? And it got more overused. Like epic. Epic got overused for a long time there. So now,
when I think about permission to play, I think about, we always think about kids when we think about this. And I think about the kid in the car. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because they're curious. And then what other question do kids ask all the time? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And they are genuinely curious because they look around and they go, well, why is it like that? Well, why is it like that?
Why can't I?
Why can't I? Why not? Etc. etc. Can I do this? Can I push this boundary a little bit? You said I could do X, Y, and Z, but you didn't say I could do A, B, and C. ... Does that mean I can? And they're always looking for those. They're testing
little
those
lawyers.
boundaries. They're pushing them. Exactly. And I think when we step into our businesses and we have that same kind of curiosity, that's how we come up with solutions. We go, like everyone's solution currently to this problem is X, Y, and Z. Why can't we do A, B, and C? And it takes an entrepreneur with that innovative style, with that sense of play, to be able to go out and say, I'll try it. Why not?
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
Exactly. And so the permission to play is the difference between why can't I and I can't. When you take away the permission to play, it becomes I can't.
Yeah.
But why can't I? Now that is an innovative question. That will yield a better answer or a more thought out, fleshed out answer. Why can't I? Okay. Mindset. You're absolutely right. It's all of this that stops us from doing what we want to do. Why'd you become an entrepreneur? Put in the chat. Why did you become an entrepreneur? I'm willing to bet it's one of three things. Number one, freedom, time freedom. Number two, money freedom. Number three is the ability to be with your family, loved ones. Yeah. Okay. It's options. It's choices. The less money you have, the more choices are made for you. Money brings options. Okay. And when we lose those options is when we kind of, someone put in a corner, you're going to find out fight or flight. Yep. And it's very intense at that point. And like I said, the less money you make, the more people make choices for you. Choices are made for you. Okay. Creativity can be managed to death. Couldn't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I became an entrepreneur because yes, all of those things. Yes. So why aren't we allowing ourselves forgiveness for stumbling on the way to those big goals? Like it would be the same as if the first time you learned how to ride a bike, for those of you that know, I would assume most do know. You fell once and they said, okay, let's throw it away.
Done. Well, my father, when he started to learn how to ski, he found a little ski hill that wasn't a ski hill. It was like beside the highway because he didn't want anyone to be able to see him. Yet he's beside the freaking highway where everyone sees him. And he stood at the top and he went to put his skis on, and one ski went sliding down, went all the way down the hill and cracked in half on a cement barrier that was down at the bottom. And he packed his stuff up and he left the broken ski and he said, I'll never do this again. But something later clicked and said to him, no, you should try that again. First time failure, that's just a normal thing. Let's do this again. And he became a fantastic ski instructor years later. Like you have to get over that realization that when you first start, it's not going to be comfortable, but you got to start somewhere and you got to do it. And then I promise you, Jim and I will both high five you and open a cold one with you while we look back at those first videos you started to create.
Absolutely.
When you are at the pinnacle of your business, when you are higher up on that journey, we will love to sit back and go, heck yeah, look how much you've grown.
And not even higher up along the way. We're here patting you on the back the whole way because we know. Yeah. We know what it's like to put out something and be like, oh man, wonder what that's gonna do.
Yeah.
So it's critical to have a support system. Okay. To have mentors who've been there before you. Imagine if your dad went skiing and did his first run down the hill and never knew that there was someone there that was giving lessons.
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, and we start you out on the bunny hill, by the way. You were on a black diamond for your first run. Yeah. So
let me show you how to do this easier.
But you don't know what you don't know. The unknown unknowns, right? So once someone says, listen, we have ski instructors. And we have a little bunny hill that makes it so you won't get hurt as bad. And you're going to do the pizza. And you're going to, work your way through it. And we're going to work your way up to that black diamond. Or you're just going to thrust yourself down a black diamond.
It's like the old way they used to teach kids how to swim. They just take them to the dock, push them in.
Johnny Cash style, right?
Only the fittest survive.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I wanted to write fantasy novels 20 years ago, and now that my kids are growing up, I'm back at it, and I'm better. I like that.
Yeah.
Right, Tammy, and maybe even distance yourself from those that won't support and cheer you on. Absolutely. Yeah. There's Alex Hermosi and Layla talk about seasons of friends that serve your life in that season, and that when you move past that season, sometimes that requires a change of environment, surroundings, and people. Not all of them necessarily, but it might be. And you have to be at least open to that, because I do fully believe that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. If you have 5 broke friends, you will be the 6th. So I do fully believe that. It hurts, because I love my friends. My friends are my chosen family. I always say that. And I personally choose not to excise those people from my life because I love them. But I get it. I understand it. And I may not spend as much time with them. I may spend more time with other people who are pushing and shooting for the same dreams I am. I still love them. But in this season of my life, it's not the best thing for me. So something to consider. People get real touchy about that subject. They're like, I'm going to leave my friends, my family. Screw you. It's like, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you what probably needs to happen. And it's from people above me telling me what worked for them. That's it. So, if someone is where I want to be, I'm going to listen to them,
And don't feel stressed out about this idea of leaving your friends behind or whatever. Yeah, because something that happened to me recently is I took that advice a few years ago. I didn't cut my friends off. I just moved on and made sure that I focused on the 5 people who were going to feed me and help me get towards my goals easier or quicker or whatnot. They were on that same path. And so what was really neat that happened is as I went on my journey and I was public about my journey and I was sharing what I was doing and I was being fearless and I was being honest of like, that last video wasn't so good, was it? Ha ha ha. Let's laugh about it together, but let's still talk about that substance. Let's still talk about the value that I want to share with you. A whole bunch of those friends that I had to turn away or I had to not focus as much attention on started coming back, because they were now inspired to take action in their own lives. I had now become a brave, reluctant hero in their eyes because I had shown them the possibilities and said, hey guys, if you're not going to feed me and you're not going to help me get towards my goal, I'm going to do it myself, but I'm on that journey. You can come or not. And it's so cool now because now I'm working on building businesses with my friends. And that's really exciting as well, to just build that community. I love it.
Absolutely. And it really comes down to, do they want to see you win? Mm-hmm. And will they support you on that journey?
Yes.
And if either one of those is not true, then maybe their season's up.
Yeah.
That's it. So next one up is practice. Lots of it. So you got this right here. You got this right in your hands all the time, or it's in your pocket, pumping radiation into your body. And so this is your practice zone. Okay. So what we're going to do, I want everyone to take out their phones. Okay. This is a exercise that we do all the time. And I want you to turn it towards you. Okay. And I want you to put it on video. This is just for you. Okay. Just for you. And I want you to stare into that baby. And I want you to say this. Obviously, you have to hit record. Okay. So hit record. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Jim Beard. And today I am not feeling my best. I'm not sounding my best, but that's okay. Because I'm making a video here today because I want this to have a positive effect for people. And that is badass. Okay. There you go. So now we got one in the bag. So now I love working with communities. Yeah, absolutely, Robert. Robert knows this better than most. Okay. Robert came from a no audience situation, not having anyone that cared, to now being completely in demand worldwide. He knows this story better than most of the people I know. Okay. So you have your badass video. And at the end, I'm going to pose a challenge to you with that video. But right now, it's just in your phone. It's yours. Okay. Do not delete it, though. And don't watch it. Don't delete or watch it. Let it sit. Okay. Chill for a second. So now, here's another thing to think about is we talked about how if you're not making content right now and you're not speaking to your audience directly and saying, listen, my name is Jim Beard and I help people make videos that sell. Or I help people with video strategy, or I help people with making funnels, or I help, whatever your thing is, then they're living every day in pain. Every day that you're not going out there and saying, listen, my unique audience, people that like me and my voice about this particular topic, they're in pain. So it's about them. That's another thing that helped me out a lot is that if I don't make my content, there's a chance that someone out there is going to continue sitting in that pain. I'm going to give them the answer. I'm going to give them a solution. Because maybe they're a person that likes my particular type of content and needs that answer. Throws a phone in the pool. Nice. I hope you did, because that'd be a real bummer. But me remembering it's about them. It's for them. Everything is about them, not me. So I even take it more harshly. I take it that on myself, because of my personality type, the way I have to think about it is that I'm being selfish. Jim, if you're not making content to help these people, you're being selfish. And they're out there in pain, and you are sitting there feeling bad for yourself. So that encourages me to get off my butt and make some content. The other thing is environment. Okay. Our environment is our cozy place. And if it's not your cozy place, if this is not all this, the lights and the cameras and the chairs and all the things, if it's not comfortable for you and it's not fun for you to be in, change it. Change it immediately. Not tomorrow, today. Change it now. Because the more comfortable you can be, the more comfortable you appear here. Okay. Get that comfy chair. If you don't have a nice camera, cool. Use your phone. Put it up on a tripod so you can keep your hands off it. If you don't have fancy lights, use with what you got. Use the daylight through the window if you need to. Okay. Make it a comfortable space where everything's easy to access. It's easy to use. And it's easy just to get up and go. Okay. That's a big one that not a lot of people talk about is your environment. If your environment's uncomfortable, you will appear uncomfortable. And the dog seems very comfortable right now. Next one is, do you plan or do you script? And I go with plan. Okay. Here on the show and in my personal content and in Molly's personal content, we don't really go for scripts because it comes across very rigid. And you got your eyes are scanning. I've worked with teleprompters many times. Carlos actually says he does both. Awesome. There's some people that really can kill it with a teleprompter. That can still emote well through a teleprompter. I am not one of those people. We have clients that we do it with, and then they can do just fine with it. Because some people really trip up, and then they go down this spiral of like self-destruction. It's where, it's like, oh, I missed the line. I'm crap. And it's like, oh no, how'd you get there? Wait, let's backtrack. It's like, wait. So then we go to like a teleprompter, and that can make them relax, because now they have the confidence to keep saying what they have to say. Doesn't mean that, well, planning doesn't have to mean teleprompter. You're absolutely right. So what we do essentially is bullet points. Okay. So we write down a structure that we like to follow, main things that we want to hit in that particular piece of content. We try and break it down by how much time we think about each one will take. And then that's the structure for the show. And that allows us to have personalized stories. If a conversation heads in a different direction, that's okay. That's allowable. There's space for that. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about the show is that, yes, it's structured, but it's structured in a way that allows for, free range kind of wandering every once in a while, but we always kind of bring it back. And Tammy says, do it better with other people. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I did a show that most people would give most people fever dreams. And that's X's and O's game show, 12 people on one show. But I found it to be extremely easy once I was in it, like the show's live, we're going. The hardest part was getting there. But once I was on the show, I didn't have to be the crazy, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of blah, blah. I created a fun frame, and I just enjoyed the frame. So for those of you out there that are like, oh, I don't want to be, the skinny Mike Family Feud kind of thing, then don't. But make a fun frame to then play within. And if still you're having issues, bring on other people. Okay? Because now you don't have 100% of the responsibility to keep people engaged and moving. You have 50% of the responsibility. So they just cut your effort in half. Okay? So Tammy, I completely agree with you. Okay? And I say when you start, interviews are tremendous. Find someone, even here in the group, or Molly's pages here are on YouTube. Find somebody in the comments that will do an interview with you. Okay, what do I talk about? I'll give you 3 things to talk about right now. Okay, so first one is, what are your career goals or your business goals? Where are you right now, and what are you doing to get there? That's it. 3 questions apiece. And you can even do an extra question and be like, introduce yourself. Okay, so you got 4 questions now. So now halfway through the interview, you switch. Now you're the interviewee instead of the interviewer, and you finish it out accordingly. Same 4 questions. Okay. That's where we start. Because once you get 10 to 20 of those in the bag, you will be a different person on camera. Do I mean that you will literally be a different person? No, you'll just be a little more relaxed. It's a conversation at that point that happens to be recorded. And by episode 10, you forget that you're being recorded and you just enjoy the other person. And that's when you get to be a good interviewer. Is you got to have good questions, do your research if you're doing people ahead of you, because they have audiences and you want to commingle audiences, right? It's an amazing way to get started and to get an audience grown really fast is interview shows, okay? Have a stance with your interview show. A little bit of standing for something will divide a crowd. But the beautiful thing about a divided crowd is both talk a lot. Both sides of the division talk. So if you take a stand and you're like, I think funnels are crap, and I think that WordPress should be the only way we go from here on out because of A, B, C, D, and E. And now you bring on people onto your show that are either utilizing WordPress or don't agree with you. And they have something to say that is their unique perspective. But by you saying and taking a stance, you're going to have the people going, you're out of your damn mind. You're an idiot. That's still engagement. And then you have people that are like, no, you are on the right track. WordPress for life. So you have those people. And then the beautiful thing is they are hashing it out in the comments as well. Now you have to be careful with this, because if you take a stand on something flimsy and you don't actually believe in it, the audience will sniff that out in a hurry and you're done. You're just done. From that point, you're just talking to yourself, because the audience knows authenticity. So if you stand for something, really stand for it and be able to back it up. And when I say back it up, do I mean that you have to be like CNN, Fox News ready? No, but like have some reasoning behind your opinion. Like if you were like, golden retrievers are an inferior breed. Yeah, see that. And then she's like, why would you say that? And I go, I don't know. I just feel it. And then everyone's like, no, you're an idiot. I'm not watching this crap anymore. So if you take a stand you mean. Make it something you really stand for. Okay. One of the stands that we take here on the show is that if you're not visible online, you are invisible. That's one of the things that we stand for. And you may agree or you may not agree. And that is wonderful. Wonderful. We support you in either decision you make, but this is the stand that we make. And we make a couple stands here on the show, but that's one of our biggest ones. That's why it's visibility hacking, is if you're not visible online, you are invisible. Okay. So take your stand, plant your flag. And as long as you have that, now make an interesting layout, which they have for free online if you're so inclined, or you can make it in Canva if you need to. This is not hard. Okay. What's hard about it is just getting comfortable in your own skin. And once you do that, and I truly mean this, listen to me. Once you do that, everything will change for you. Everything will change for you, because there's people out there waiting for you, literally waiting for you. And you may go, oh no, but because I'm this and I'm that, there's no one out there. There are a crap ton of people out there waiting for you. And every day you don't show up is another day that they're sitting in that pain. Okay. So plan that script. We like to have bullet points personally, so we can kind of go off and like this was a tangent. Okay. We allow for this. Okay. But if I had a script and we go off script, now we have to kind of like figure it out, so we're okay with that. And because we're already very chatty Cathy's on the show, we have no issue with playing with him bullet points. Next one, give real value. Give real, tangible value that someone can use in their life right now. Okay. We give away everything. Yes, we do have a business. We charge for implementation. So we give you literally everything there is to give. You can run out there and go do it. And we hope you do and tell us about it, because we are so honored when people say, you crazy people, I did my first live video ever. I made my first video ad. I made my first this. I made my first that. I made my first sale. That's the stuff that is everything to myself and Molly. Okay. Love giving out value meals. I love that. That is fantastic. And that could be even your interview show, the value meal. I love that. So next one, tell stories. Stories make the world go round. Okay. Stories are so important to our culture. They're carved into rock. That's how important stories are. Okay. Stories help us to relate, help us to mirror ourselves in someone else's situation, someone else's process, someone else's thought process, someone else's experience. It's a story. Okay. So my recommendation, you are hilarious right now with the tail, is to have stories in the bag, so to speak. And so one of the stories I tell so often is the story of X's and O's and how I got started, because that was something that changed my life. Okay. That was a life-changing moment. Funnel Hacking Live, when I met a gentleman named Tony who started calling me 8K. That's a story that changed my life. Okay. So I've memorized those stories, the inflection of those stories, and how they're told, to where at any given time, I can tell those stories. And they're going to be relatively the same delivery, relatively, each time. And I have several other stories that I like to tell, but those are the ones that get people to want to take a step closer to me and our circle of influence, okay? Because they can relate to those. So find yourself your core stories. How do I find core stories? What are the core stories that matter? What stories should I choose? What if it's a crappy story? Is it a good story? Is it a bad story? The way you can tell is by A, telling people your story and seeing what they think about it, and B, making content about those stories. And then you just see what the market decides. Tell your story and see how they respond. So the very first time I told the X's and O's game show story, I had people going, oh my God, I can relate to that. You were sitting there with the sweaty pits and you were just like vibrating, thinking, oh my God, I messed up. Everyone's going to hate me. This is awful. What have I done? People in the audience were like, oh my God, yes. I was like, oh, interesting. They can relate. I thought that was a me thing. They can relate to my story, and that has encouraged some people and given people confidence to then take that first step to make that first video. I'm going to keep that story. I'm going to work on that story and really try and make that as good as I can in the way that I tell it. But initially, I just told the story, and it was on an interview show, by the way. I was being interviewed, and they asked me how I got started and what this crazy game show was. And I told them the story, and it just resonated with that audience so severely. I told it on the next show and the next show. And now at this point, I probably told that story on neighborhood 200 to 300 shows. And every time people love that show. I love that story, excuse me. Let's see. I use stories in the Wow Factor book, examples that held up my 5 pillars of my format. It is great. No one gets tired of the stories. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a good story can allow someone to emote or to mirror themselves to you in your story. And once you have that, once you have like the, oh my God, Molly understands me, that's when they want to become a part of your world. The moment that you go, oh, it's like they're reading my diary or your journal, or whatever you want to call it. The minute they raise their hand, you've made a connection. And what do we do in life? We stalk people. We go and we check out their page and we go, oh my God, they are fantastic. I want to know more about them. I want to know what else they're up to. And that's great. Allow for that. It's really, really cool. And it's a way to get people into your world by doing these interviews. So start out by interviewing each other. Okay. Tammy says, Molly gets me. Exactly. Molly just gets you. That's awesome. Molly completes me. I love that. See, exactly. Exactly. So I want you to reach out to each other. Pair off. Okay. We did this in Doug Boughton's group and we got over 200 people to make their first video ever. Okay. So pair off, find something, just post in the group on your profile. It's fine. Wherever you want to post it. I would like to start interviewing other entrepreneurs. Okay. If you would like to be interviewed, please comment below. You'll get people. And then you just trade off. It's 50-50. You ask your 4 questions. They ask their 4 questions. Call it a day. Now you reach out to the next person that commented on your thing. Do the same thing. And you rinse and repeat this until finally you're like, I feel pretty, not great, but I feel pretty good about this. I think I'm starting to kind of get the lay of the land with this. I'm not so nervous. I don't sweat as much. I don't call myself bad names as much. You know, and that's when you can start considering making a show, making an interview show, making a show where you have a theme. and focusing more on that fun frame, building up that fun frame. But initially, you just got to shake the rust off and just take those first steps. Okay. And you can do it. And if, by the way, if you want, Molly or myself will be your first interview. We would be honored. Okay. And then when you're uber gajillionaires, you'd be like, oh, that Molly and Jim, they were all right. Molly completes me. Exactly. So another thing that I do is called my AMP method. So it's avatar, music, posture. Okay. So avatar, talk to your ideal person, one person. So for a long time, I had taped behind my camera. I get it. It's fine. Okay. I get it. So behind my camera, I had taped of a person that I had helped recently. Okay. And so his name was Josh. And I had helped Josh recently. I actually printed out and cut out a picture of Josh and I taped it behind my camera. So I was talking to Josh. And that helped out tremendously too. Because you think, oh my God, I'm speaking to millions of people. No, you're not. Like initially, you're just speaking to you. It's just for you. Your first 100 episodes really are for you. It's you finding your voice, right? So if you can find one person that you can help, generally speaking, there's going to be other people that resonate with that story. So I put Josh behind my camera.
I love the idea that you actually have the picture of Josh.
Real physical cutout picture.
Yeah, I have given this advice constantly, but I do put a smiley face on a Post-it note, get a smiley face sticker, something like that. Put a picture of your best friend. But oh my goodness, light bulb moment. Put a picture of your last client or the client you're trying to attract. Yep. Actually speak directly to that one person's problem.
Exactly.
Is so much simpler than racking your brain and trying to think of an avatar. Seems so intangible.
It can be very amorphous and overwhelming. So I'll pick one person up. I will literally print that picture off and cut it out and tape it behind the camera. So I'm literally talking to Josh. Okay. So that's number one. That's A, avatar. M, music. Music for me is energy. Okay. Whatever energy I want for the day, I'll put on that kind of music or I'll have it already in my head. I always have a song going. Okay. So before I go live, the energy I want to put out in the world is the music that's in my head or the music that I'm currently playing because maybe I need a shift in mood. Yeah. So let's say I had a crap day, but I need to bring in the energy for, Friday Night Live. I'll put on George Clinton Flashlight. And that immediately gets me into a whole different headspace. It's like a funny, goofy, weirdo. Like that's what that song does for me. It takes me there. And so music is the next one that I highly recommend. And you can visualize as well using music. Next one is posture. So you ever had people go shoulders up, shoulders back, shoulders down. And then now your whole body is kind of confident. The way you carry yourself emotes from you. So if you're like, hey everybody, today we're talking about confidence. If you're like that, then it's like, oh shit. So if you are here, you're speaking from a point of power, authority, and confidence. Even though you may not inside feel it. It comes out with that posture. Okay. And they talk about the power poses, people that take up more space or more powerful and all that kind of stuff. And then people that are generally like, you can judge how much money someone generally makes in a room by how much space they take up in that room. So the people that are like here are generally not as confident as the people that are widespread and take up as much space as possible. Man spreading. Yeah, that sounds awful. The superhero pose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sounds bad. That sounds like something that'll get you a ticket for sure. But your posture means a lot. Okay. And you emote differently. When I'm not to become this mansplaining.
I love you, Jen.
So great. So great. So how you present yourself and how you carry yourself comes out. That's the way you then speak. So if you're speaking slumped and you're kind of inward, or you're just feeling kind of down, low energy, that's what you're now producing. That's what's coming out of you. So amp, avatar, music, posture. So you got to get amped before you make a video. Okay. Let me know if you guys like that.
I love it.
So we are closing out our show at this point, which, by the way, you'll notice the bullet points worked out pretty good because we're done. I'm going to make a challenge to you guys. Okay. So Molly, I'm going to have her come up with the prize of her choosing. But if you so choose to post your video that you created, your badass video, in the group for visibility hacking, which I'll have Molly enter into the chat for you guys, the direct link, in case that you're viewing this outside of that group. If you posted it, which is our safe place, right? So it's a private group. If you post it in there, then you will get a prize. And our prizes don't mess around. We have good ass prizes. So Molly, our prize for this one, what do you think is appropriate?
Well, I'm going to say with book club, we have a whole bunch of great prizes put together. So I'm going to say I am going to give you my favorite book from 2023 that has to do with speaking and presenting. And it gives you a whole, it's like $1 million speaking framework,
Nice.
But it's a fantastic, quick overview that gives you like foundational frameworks that help you quickly think of the structure you need to use when you're speaking. For those of you who want to see those frameworks, to have those ideas in your mind of what kinds of stories and how to tell your stories, all of that kind of stuff. Fantastic book. So I'm going to get you guys a copy of that. That is the prize up for grabs this week.
I love that. I kind of want that prize. That book sounds pretty good. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys being here. We know your time is the most precious asset you have, and we appreciate that you spent it here with us. We help you with getting attention to your mission, your message, your movement in an ever-changing and ever-noisy marketplace. So we'll see you on the next Friday Night Live. Molly?
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Yeah, I talked about book club. So let's promo some book club. This week, we are starting out with a brand new book. You're going to have to join us to see what we're going to be talking about. But we're getting into storytelling. We're getting into copywriting. So Jen, I see you out there. Come hang out with us. You'll love it. So join us 7:30 a.m. Eastern Thursday mornings. And of course, you can always catch us on our replay. All of our shows are available free of charge in the Visibility Hackers YouTube channel. So come on over, come hang out with us there. We would love to see you. And until we see you again next week for Friday Night Live, remember, we love you. Be excellent to each other.